Hello everyone, welcome back to VetCare. In this video, we'll clearly explain the estrus cycle in animals, its phases, stages, hormones, and ovarian changes, step by step. Let us get started. The estrus cycle is the recurring reproductive cycle in female mammals, and it is divided into two major phases based on the dominant ovarian structure present during the cycle, the follicular phase and the luteal phase. The follicular phase begins with the regression of the corpus luteum and ends at ovulation. This phase is relatively short and occupies about 20% of the estrus cycle. During this period, the ovaries are dominated by large antral follicles, which secrete estradiol as the primary reproductive hormone. Estradiol plays a crucial role in preparing the reproductive tract and stimulating estrus behavior. The luteal phase starts after ovulation and continues until the corpus luteum regresses. This phase is much longer, occupying about 80% of the estrus cycle. The dominant ovarian structures during this phase are the corpora lutea, which secrete progesterone as the primary hormone. Progesterone maintains the uterus in a condition suitable for pregnancy. Although follicles continue to grow and regress during the luteal phase, they do not produce high levels of estradiol. Now, when we view both phases together in the context of this graph, the estrus cycle becomes easier to understand. The horizontal axis represents time, while the vertical axis shows relative hormone concentrations in the blood. During the follicular phase, progesterone levels, seen as skinny yellow color line on graph, are low due to regression of the corpus luteum, while estradiol levels, seen as red color dotted line on graph, rise as dominant follicles develop. This increase in estradiol leads to estrus behavior and terminates in ovulation, shown at the transition point between phases. Following ovulation, the luteal phase begins, marked by the formation of the corpus luteum and a sharp rise in progesterone secretion. Progesterone remains elevated throughout most of the cycle to support a potential pregnancy, while estradiol stays relatively low. Near the end of the luteal phase, luteolysis occurs, progesterone levels decline, and the cycle returns to the follicular phase. The estrus cycle can also be divided into four stages: Proestrus, Estrus, Metestrus, and Diestrus. The follicular phase includes Proestrus and Estrus, while the luteal phase includes Metestrus and Diestrus. First of all, look at the graph. This graph counts days with day 0 as the day of heat or estrus and ovulation. The days before heat are shown as negative numbers, like -3. Proestrus happens a few days before heat, so it starts before day 0 on the graph. So let us start with Proestrus. Proestrus begins when progesterone levels decrease due to luteolysis, which is the breakdown of the corpus luteum. This stage lasts about 2 to 5 days, depending on the species. There is a hormonal shift from progesterone dominance to estradiol, E2, dominance. Follicle-stimulating hormone, FSH, and luteinizing hormone, LH, stimulate follicular growth, causing developing follicles to secrete increasing amounts of estradiol. The female is not sexually receptive yet. On the graph, progesterone declines while estradiol gradually rises. Estrus is the stage of sexual receptivity, commonly called heat. Estradiol is the dominant hormone during this stage and causes both behavioral and physiological changes. Initially, the female may show signs such as increased activity, vocalization, restlessness, and mounting behavior, but she does not accept the male. As estrus progresses, she enters standing estrus, during which she accepts mating and exhibits lordosis, which is a characteristic mating posture involving arching of the back. Standing estrus is the most reliable indicator for natural breeding or artificial insemination. The duration of estrus varies widely among species and individuals. Ovulation occurs near the end of estrus. If mating and fertilization occur, sperm fertilizes the ovulated oocyte. If mating does not occur, ovulation may still take place in spontaneous ovulators, but pregnancy will not occur. On the graph, estrus is marked by a sharp peak in estradiol and the lowest progesterone levels. Metestrus is the transition phase immediately after ovulation. During early metestrus, both estradiol and progesterone levels are low. After ovulation, the follicle first forms the corpus hemorrhagicum and then luteinizes into the corpus luteum, which secretes progesterone. If fertilization has occurred, early embryonic development begins during this phase. If fertilization has not occurred, the corpus luteum still forms temporarily. On the graph, estradiol declines rapidly while progesterone starts to rise. Diestrus is the longest phase of the estrus cycle and represents maximum luteal activity. The corpus luteum is fully functional and secretes high levels of progesterone, which prepares the uterus for embryo implantation and pregnancy. Females do not show estrus behavior during diestrus. If pregnancy occurs, the corpus luteum is maintained and progesterone remains high. If pregnancy does not occur, prostaglandin F2-alpha causes luteolysis, progesterone levels fall, and the cycle returns to Proestrus. On the graph, diestrus appears as a sustained progesterone plateau with low estradiol levels. If you found this explanation helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to VetCare for more clear and concept-based veterinary content. Thank you for watching.